Sorry, Isaac, I can't see the start webinar button and then the feature to do the sound.
We do have the webinar started, and then on your share screen on the bottom, there's usually a little arrow now next to the green share, if you've got that, with the other edit pencil. Yeah, it should be the little edit pencil.
Okay, well, we might not have the audio going on, but we'll wait a minute or two for everyone to start coming in, and then we'll get started. Okay, sorry y'all for some of that hiccup. We're gonna go ahead and start. Welcome, bienvenidos, bienvenue. We're gonna start with instructions for language translation. I'll start with English speakers first. One of the presentations is going to be in Spanish, so you'll need to access this feature in Zoom by clicking on the interpretation button when it becomes available, and then selecting English as your language if you are listening for English, and then we'll pass it on for Spanish and French instructions.
Saludos. En efecto, esta sesión está siendo interpretada de manera simultánea al español y al francés. Panelistas, favor de mantener un ritmo regular en su habla para que los intérpretes puedan llevar a cabo su trabajo. Como pueden ver, aquí está el icono de la interpretación en su pantalla. Favor de buscarlo en la parte inferior de su barra de navegación. Si se encuentran ustedes conectándose a través de un teléfono o una tableta, búsquenlo por favor en el menú de los 3 puntos y allí pueden seleccionar español para escuchar toda esta sesión en ese idioma de manera simultánea. Muchísimas gracias.
And Camille, can you offer instructions in French?
Bonjour à tous et à toutes. Sur un ordinateur, veuillez sélectionner l'option Interprétation dans le menu situé en bas de votre fenêtre Zoom. Sur un téléphone ou une tablette, vous sélectionnez les 3 points du menu plus, puis sélectionnez Interprétation linguistique dans votre application Zoom. Merci.
you so much, Mayra and Camille, and our language justice team for the translation and interpretation services in Spanish and French. Welcome, everyone. This is our third seminar in this series, in the Global Just Transitions seminar series by CS Fund. I'm just going to provide a very quick overview and then actually hand it off to our guest co-hosts for this session's time. So the seminar series is a direct response to our grantee partners in requesting political education on global just transitions and macro level trends on social and ecological justice that they're grappling with each and every day. And so we're featuring voices from grassroots and movement leaders all across the world. And we also decided to open it up to audiences across different sectors, cultures, areas of work. And this session is going to be focused on feminist praxis as such a critical component for the areas of resistance, for building forward and for dreaming in a larger capacity. And we're going to have two brilliant guest hosts with Sara Mirsha and Cindy Weisner. Sara from Grassroots International as the co-executive director there, and Cindy as the executive director for Global Grassroots Justice Alliance, both of whom have just been leading tremendous work across these areas and fields in so many different parts of the world. So I'll hand it over, and thank you all so much.
Hello, thank you so much, Samir. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm Sara, and I want to start by just giving gratitude to you and to everyone at CS Fund for your leadership in both this webinar series as well as your commitment to supporting and accompanying social movements around the world and sharing lessons in philanthropy. This is a great way to do that. This topic of feminist praxis as critical for global just transitions is so near to our hearts, especially in this particular time that we're all living in. We're seeing a rise of authoritarianism globally, violent repression, and increased threats of fascism rooted in misogyny and white supremacy and promoting a project of death. We understand grassroots feminist praxis as an antidote to all of that, as what is needed to protect life and to make just transition possible. I know Cindy, my sister, who is like such an amazing organizer, is going to break down what are some of the key components of grassroots feminisms and feminist economy for life. And then we understand praxis as a dynamic process. It's about action, theory, reflection, action. It's a circle where we're learning, not just to learn, but because we're about changing the world. And we're going to keep learning as we're in action together. So we're so lucky to have this combination of speakers, movement leaders joining to share their experiences, which are so rich. We have Lipi Rahman from Badabon Sangho in Bangladesh, and going to be sharing deep lessons in how to connect intersectionally a variety of issues that impact women and the earth. So we're so looking forward to hearing from Lipi's experiences. We also have Alejandra Gutierrez from Agencia Ocote in Guatemala, which does feminist-led journalism and connects it with art. And this is a really important tool for changing hearts and minds and helping us see the truth in this moment and beyond. And also Yildiz Temürtürkan. Yildiz is based in Turkey and is a part of the International Secretariat of the World March of Women, a global social movement that you'll be hearing more about, and that is doing a beautiful job of connecting from the very grassroots level to the international level. We're going to hear from the diversity of their experiences in feminist practice at all these levels, and all grounded in the grassroots. I'm so excited to co-host this session with Cindy Weisner from Grassroots Global Justice. We're close strategic allies, and Cindy is a just long time friend, and I would say mentor to me. We have so much trust and inspired by the courage and clarity, Cindy, that you bring and that GDJ brings to the work. So I'll pass it to you.
Hey everybody, saludos, bonjour a tous. Just super excited to be here. Thanks, Sara, for that introduction, and the feeling is mutual. Super grateful for the CS Fund to be convening us, for organizing these webinars, to be talking to us about just transitions, right? Global just transitions in such a timely moment. For those of you who may not know, we're based here in Grassroots Global Justice is based here in the United States, but we are part of and see ourselves as part of a global movement for justice and liberation and dignity. And I'm very proud to be here with my sisters and brothers and kinfolks to be able to have some of this necessary and timely conversation. I wanted to kind of kick us off a little bit before we start with a little bit, the times that we're living in, right? The times that we're living in, and in a lot of ways, what are our responses? What are our responses? And I believe that grassroots, internationalist, radical feminism is a solution, is a kryptonite to the current dominant system that we live in, and that we have been building for decades. Alternatives, and grassroots feminists, have been building a vision for a more just world based on the premise that capitalism, heteropatriarchy, white supremacy are the dominant orders that structure our present material conditions and social relationships with each other, but also with Mother Earth. And these orders are intersecting and mutually reinforcing. And within this trifecta of oppression, I would say that patriarchy has a special role in the sense that it precedes, right? It precedes some of these systems, and that it has been uniquely weaponized to support capitalism. And in its interrelationship with white supremacy creates some of the worst ravages for people and the planet. And patriarchy relies on the binary system that divides humanity into masculine and feminine elements. And the former is identified with like power, subjectivity, rationality, and agency, while the latter is identified with submission, objectification, chaos, and passivity. And this binary is more often than not mapped onto, but can also see can also be as an operational beyond cis bodies. And so, for instance, much of what we see as probably more white bourgeois feminist movements is being concerned with kind of integrating usually white women into the masculine order, or while we see it on a global level, where the globalist capitalist economy relies on the feminization of the global South to support the unsustainable lifestyle and dominance of the global North. And so, as grassroots feminists, we see that come from indigenous, Black, migrant communities of color across the globe, we believe in a holistic alternative, right? And a systemic alternative. And a lot of what that's being talked about is as a feminist economy. And that we need to create a new equilibrium, right? Where all people can live dignified lives in right relationship to each other and to Mother Earth. And that some of this is based on these principles that we have been building and talking about, right? Which is one about bodily autonomy and self-determination, right? Because one of the hallmarks of patriarchy is its consistent effort to capture, consume, and control feminized and queer bodies. From historically, we see from enslaved Black women being forced to breed, to women of color being forcibly sterilized, to seeing policies that restrict access to reproductive health care, to gender-appropriate bathrooms, to breastfeeding, separating children from their mothers, to forced child marriage, to marginalization of queer and trans bodies, etc. Right? We see all of this in our social and cultural lives, including, having it be a weapon of war, right? To sex trafficking and criminalization of sex work, and to the imposition of beauty standards. And in a feminist economy, we talk about that we have the right and the ability to choose what we want to do with our own body under conditions of dignity, safety, sufficiency, and consent, including support to prevent and heal from violation of our bodies. The second component of a feminist economy is really talking about socialization of reproductive labor. And that because if we understand that an essential contribution that patriarchy makes to capitalism is invisibilizing the labor, right, required to raise, maintain, and care for human beings. And that reproductive labor encompasses mothering, housework, caregiving, and various subsistence strategies that many women, feminized bodies, queer people perform to survive in the margins of or outside of what is considered formalized work sector. And this labor oftentimes historically and currently has been not recognized or valued as work within the capitalist economy, and it enables, right? It has enabled the system to accumulate massive wealth from feminized labor by not paying for it. And this is one of the things that for us is like making visible that what has been invisible, and that we know, again, that at a global level, right? It's basically being able to see that dynamic magnified. And so for us, we think that in a feminist economy, we have to recognize and value and center reproductive labor as low or no carbon community generating, life affirming, and skilled work that is necessary for the well-being of everybody and to sustain like human society itself. And that reproductive labor should be shared by everyone, right? And that it's something that should be compensated and visibilized, and that everybody benefits from that. The third component is really about this piece around just relations with Mother Earth and with each other. And that this, within this current system of capitalism, heteropatriarchy, and white supremacy, is that there's norms, right, and practices that are institutionalized into law, culture, language, religion, and how the organization of economies are done from the local to the global, where then again, we're seeing the commodification of Mother Earth and human life to enable relationships of ownership and extraction. We see individualism that activates competition and consumerism, heteronormativity, right, to support the production of a nuclear family units for the accumulation of private property and the capture of reproductive labor, and racism, right, and its variations, including nationalism and xenophobia, to create masses of vulnerable and disposable people to exploit and or eliminate as needed, and war, right? And its manifestations such as colonialism, imperialism, and the prison industrial complex, to defend all of the above and generate relationships that justify the continued, economy of exploitation and profit. And so all of these principles, are two sides of the same coin. And as grassroots feminists, we believe in strengthening relationships of collectivity, inclusiveness, mutuality, solidarity in our relationships with each other, and to shift towards a regenerative rather than extractive, right, modes of relating to the gifts Mother Earth provides. And we believe that we need to divest from extractive industries and the military and the prison industrial complexes. We believe in redistributing wealth, including land, infrastructure, and other means of production, and being able to give power back to communities, right? To really think about ways in which there's reparations that are made for people that have been historically dispossessed by slavery, colonialism, imperialism, and that we believe that there's different ways that we can live and create ecosystems that really provide that human and planetary dignity. And so in a feminist economy, we are committed to decolonizing our relationships with Mother Earth, with each other, and which it means restoring the rights of nature and all forms of life, human life and non-human, to exist in its specificity and its uniqueness, to have their needs met, to be well, to evolve, and to be in an economy where no one is disposable. So today we are going to be hearing from different speakers who are practicing this work, but creating the alternatives from the local level, from the national level, from the regional level, to in different territories from around the world. And I'm super proud to be able to introduce our compañera Lipi Rahman from Badabon Sangho in Bangladesh, who is going to share with us their important work on the ground around land, work, climate justice, etc. So, Lipi.
Thank you so much, Cindy, for your nice introduction. And thank you, CS1, for giving me this opportunity. And yes, I'm going to share my presentation here. Sorry. Can you see? Oh, sorry. Yes. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And welcome to my presentation. That is, I'm from Bangladesh, and my name is Lipi Rahman. You know that my organization name is Badabon Sangho. Badabon means it is in Bangla, and it means forest. That we are based in near the coastal belt area in the largest mangrove forest in Bangladesh, that is called Sundarbon, and the other name is Badabon. I'm from that area. That's why we actually give this name, and it is a women's rights organization, and we are believe that feminism, and we are working with feminist approach, and we have started our organization in 2016, and we are working in for women's land rights, water bodies rights, and climate justice for women, and natural resources and sexual and reproductive health rights for women. And we have developed some tools and methods to support these women and girls in this area, they can so that they can control over their resources and lands, and take part in the climate justice actions. And so, since the beginning, we have mobilized and organized 4,603 women and girls with 129 groups. In this, we are now working in 4 districts, and in sub districts are like 20. And this is our website, and please, if you can visit. And we are now currently working on 6 thematic areas for this, to include that all the section of all the women group who are actually vulnerable, and from all section of the society, that women that who are suffering for land rights and who are involved in the agricultural works, that women farmers, and those who are and water bodies rights. And we are also working on combating violence against women and girls, and women's action for climate justice in the coastal belt area, and other part we have started working in the northern area, and also women workers' rights. And we have started this work with the returning migrant women workers, but now we are working for all the women who are working in the informal sectors. And also we are building the leadership of as a feminist leaders, and among these groups. And also we are working for Dalit and indigenous women's rights in this area. And for the feminist theory and practices, that Badabon Sangho follow, that Badabon Sangho, as I said, Badabon Sangho believes in feminism and its approaches by building up the capacity of the group members. And what we do, we actually, as I said, organize, and we are giving them support to, if they can speak public speaking skills, that we are providing trainings, that because we think that they need to talk about themselves and they need to, amplify their voices, and they can lead their movement, and they can, express their, if they had, and express their choices. And of course, they are now leading the land and water bodies rights movement, and from the grassroots level to the national level, and also fighting for racial justice, climate justice, labor rights, and violence against women and girls. And these, grassroots women-led, organizations, 129, they are actually, building this movement and working on that and supporting these women and girls at the grassroots level. And for that, Badabon Sangho facilitates women and girls groups on a longer term basis. And for that, these group members elect their leaders, because we think that all of them cannot, speak together, but if there should be some representative who can lead also. And that's why we built, we formed 4 federation. And these 4 federations have, 13 to 14 members, and these women group members actually cast their vote and elect them from their group. And also these 129 groups, they have their committees, 5 committees in each groups, and these groups actually elected these federation members. And these federation members, these part of the Badabon Sangho's General Committee. We have 21 members of General Committee, and all are women. And this General Committee also, elects the Executive Committee. And thus the entire governance system actually works with feminist approach. And secondly, local and contextual needs and constraints are being practiced for preparing Badabon Sangho's strategic plan for the next, strategic plan. These women leaders from the grassroots level, they are actually, it should be reflected. That's why we include them, and they are happily actually working on this. And as we are working in the climate change and its impacted area, that's we have found out that women and girls are mostly affected for this climate change, and they have their issues like sexual reproductive health issues and their livelihood issues, that violence against women are increasing, child marriage are increasing. And that's why we think that women, and nobody is, and they are depriving from the other services, that as a fisher women, as a farmers women, they are not recognized, they are not getting the support. That's why we think that we need the leadership from this community, and they can access their needs, and they can articulate their demands, and they can finally get united, and they can, demand. And you can see the pictures. They are the federation members. They're being elected by these committee members, and these united groups are supported, that who are actually to combat violence against the women and helping each other, because that sea level is rising and salinity is increasing and destroying their cultivable land and other livelihood support. That's why they are supporting each other. How can the cultivation and protest rallies they are doing, and considering these needs and constraints of girls. That's why we have started with the concept of these women leaders, that we need to work with the girls team, because we need our future leaders, because they can, that's how we formed. Now we have own team football clubs, and they are regularly having their football tournament and karate team also there. And that's how these women, and with these women group leaders, we are providing support to the girls team also, and they're also working to stop child marriage and spread the awareness. And also the entire group implementation decisions are coming from these women groups and girls groups. That's why they need the regular meeting to, and we are having that monthly. They are having the monthly and quarterly meetings, and they are making decisions. That's how these groups are working, and we are working together with the feminist approach, and from our working area, from the grassroots level. And the other part, that Badabon Sangho is a member of many national and international
Lipi, I don't know if you can hear me. I'm sorry
alliances,
to
that
interrupt.
those who are actually sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yes,
No,
please
just
go on.
the audio is coming in and out a little bit. I think we heard most of what you said, but I wonder if we should try to turn off the video just to improve the audio for now. Thank you. Yeah, please continue. I don't know if you can hear. Are you still there, Lipi?
Yes, I think. Yes, I'm here.
Great.
Can you hear?
Awesome. Yes, we can hear you. Please feel free to continue. Thank you.
But can you see my presentation? I cannot
Yes,
see it.
we
Yes.
can see your presentation. Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you. And that I have talked about, that we are the members of that we became members of various global movements and alliance group, like Feminist Humanitarian Network. They are also the partner of the grantee partner of CS Fund, and also that Gender CC, AVID, and that Asian Pacific Women and Law and Development. And at national level, we are the members of Bangladesh Mahila Parishad Nari Pakha for with feminist approach. And why we are become the members, and what is the benefit of this becoming the alliance groups? Because these groups are we are working together, and it helps us to get the knowledge and capacity building. Also, this feminist organization supporting us, and we are collectively working together for the global movement, and we are following the principles, that feminist principles, and also that at the national level, we are working that we have a network that I'm going to talk about later on, that this also that as the Feminist Humanitarian Network, that we build the alliance, and we did the policy advocacy, like we did the seminars with the NGOs and other government officials to recognize the women-led organization at the grassroots level, because we have example that they are the front defenders and frontline workers, but they are not getting the support, and they are not getting the resources. They are not being recognized, and their decision is not taken seriously. That's where we are working, that these global movements and alliances are working together to be highlighted, this grassroots women-led organization. And this is one of the movement we are doing, and also that we believe in collective and self-care together, because we think that if you do the care, then you can fight for your community. That is actually global movements and networks, and we are working together. And you can see that I have taken part in Women Deliver on behalf of a Feminist Humanitarian Network, and for my organization, and for the grassroots women-led organizations. And the network we have, that women-led landers network, why do we form this network? Because we are working for women landers in our working area, but we are not able to work across the country. That's why we include other women-led organizations who are working at the grassroots level. Some of them do not have the resources or the capacity or the registration that they can apply for the fund or other thing, but we are supporting them. We are working together to build this movement for landers. That there are some policies, and that but the policy should be reviewed, or that we are working for public, that there are in this network. I that there are 5 indigenous women group members are there. They are speak about their rights, because they did not have this. This Women Land Rights Network actually helping us, to learn from each other, to build the movement together. And you can see a woman is taking part in a role play that is very rare, because she is from very conservative area. But now this network is helping us, or these women, to go out and speak ourselves, and yeah. That is how we are working here with the feminist approach, and that is my presentation. Dhonnobad. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lipi. It means so much to be able to learn from your experiences, and we know where you're joining, the bandwidth was not strong, but we heard so clearly the beauty and courage and brilliance of your work. And I think it ties so beautifully with what Cindy was sharing about feminist economies, really to sustain life. You provided such a beautiful example of what that looks like in practice in Bangladesh. And we're so grateful. Also, you're lifting up how governance, how people make decisions within the movement is practicing democracy, how important that is for building power and collective and self-care connected to the struggle for land and climate justice. So thank you so much for sharing that. We are going to have more time also afterwards for Q&A. So we'll invite participants, attendees to please feel free to add in questions that you have. And it's now my pleasure to pass the floor to Alejandra Gutierrez. Alejandra is from Agencia Ocote in Guatemala and brings such rich experience with feminist praxis in journalism. Alejandra.
Thank you, Sara. Muchas gracias. Les hablaré en español, que es mi lengua materna. Me quito un momento los audífonos. Sí, y pues explicarles solo muy rápidamente para quienes están. Primero, un honor estar aquí y gracias por la invitación. Un placer poder conocer que todas estas organizaciones en otras partes del mundo y entender que tenemos realidades muy similares a pesar de las diferencias especialmente geográficas. Y explicarles muy brevemente sobre Guatemala. Guatemala está en Centroamérica, entre Estados Unidos y México, y el sur de América. Es un pequeño puente, que es un puente bastante olvidado por las economías, por la política, etcétera, etcétera. Ha sido golpeada por guerras, En los años 70, 80 pasó por unos periodos muy serios y ahora también sufre una ola autoritaria muy importante. Entonces somos países muy pequeños que no interesan demasiado a las grandes economías, aunque sí interesa a las grandes economías extractivistas. Entonces, pues estamos en un espacio bastante complejo. Guatemala es un país pequeño, 108,000 kilómetros cuadrados y más o menos unos 14, 15 millones de habitantes. Depende del censo, depende de los datos. Y un país multicultural también me parece muy importante mencionar. Hay 24 pueblos indígenas identificados sociocultural y étnicamente, 24 más la población mestiza a la cual yo pertenezco. Y entonces, sin más, voy a compartirles
Alejandra.
La presentación.
Así, y before you give the presentation, thank you so much. We're just having an audio challenge. I wonder if the interpreters can help us figure it out. Right now, in the English channel, we hear the original audio together with the English.
And it's something that I'm doing or not?
No sé, is it possible that you could you select Spanish as your channel and see if that changes?
Maybe it's that.
Ahora.
I'm so sorry.
Gracias.
Oye, no sé,
Okay, I think
hablo
we're
en
all set
español.
now.
Pero me quito esto porque si no me escucho a mí misma y
yes.
es terrible.
Alejandra was
Listo.
hadn't
Y ahora
selected
voy
a
a
channel, so that's why
compartirla.
people were
Pero
hearing
se
if you
entendió
were an
igual lo
English channel
primero,
vote.
¿sí? Sí, más o menos.
Could people I was able to understand the introduction.
Okay.
Yes, and then from
Perfecto.
now on, if people would like to,
Súper.
feel free to mute
Muchas
original
gracias,
audio.
perdón
or sound.
los
Thank you.
inconvenientes. Y entonces aquí les voy a compartir. A mí me parece muy interesante siempre hablar sobre el feminismo en los medios porque solemos hablar de medios feministas que hablan sobre feminismos, esto en todo el mundo, que hablan sobre feminismos o constituidos únicamente por mujeres, hablando sobre mujeres, pero no se habla tanto sobre medios de comunicación que además de hablar de feminismos y hablar de mujeres, hablamos de todas las temáticas que se intersectan, que ya muy bien Sara y Cindy los explicaron acá, pero cómo podemos contar la realidad global, en este caso la realidad local de un país, de una región que es Centroamérica, desde la mirada feminista. Entonces, me parece como interesante hablar de esas dos diferencias, un medio feminista creado para hablar de feminismo, en el caso de Ocote es un medio que hace periodismo en diálogo con la cultura y con las ciencias sociales para hablar de toda la realidad, porque creemos que las mujeres tenemos el derecho y la obligación de contar sobre todas esas realidades que ya se han hablado acá. Empezamos explicándoles qué es el ocote. Aquí lo ven, traje la muestra. Ocote es el nombre del medio, pero ocote es la corteza de un árbol, del pino, que se utiliza mucho en la región centroamericana y que sirve para encender el fuego, especialmente el fuego de las estufas en las áreas rurales, de las chimeneas y alrededor del cual entonces se reúnen las personas a conversar. Entonces nos pareció una figura interesante para hablar de esa metáfora de encender, de dar luz, de generar comunidad. Y luego, entonces, Ocote fue fundado en Guatemala en 2019, hicimos el lanzamiento y tiene una perspectiva regional. Está liderado por una mayoría de mujeres. Cuando lo fundamos fuimos 4 mujeres y un hombre quienes lo fundamos, y el equipo ahora somos 15 personas y 70% está constituido por mujeres. Siempre buscamos uno de nuestras esencias. Primero es el ser liderado por una mayoría de mujeres, pero luego tenemos otros valores como el de la diversidad y en este sentido pensando también en esta diversidad étnico-cultural y en el de la población LGTBIQ+. Cuando les hablaba de Guatemala, también me faltó decirles que además de ser un país golpeado por las guerras, también es un país muy conservador, que todavía, en donde todavía las mujeres enfrentamos unas diferencias muy grandes, especialmente las mujeres indígenas, pero la población LGTBIQ+, aunque no es perseguida legalmente, sí que socialmente es muy perseguida y todavía hay unas grandes brechas de relación. Entonces en Ocote también tratamos diversidad de temas, pero tenemos 5 o 6 líneas programáticas muy claras. Una es el de las mujeres y diversidad, en donde ahí introducimos la temática de los feminismos, de las masculinidades. Nos parece también importante hablar de masculinidades. Es un medio que está dirigido a mujeres y hombres, eso también me parece importante explicar. Derechos humanos, memoria histórica y justicia, ambiente, cultura, democracia y ciudadanía. También tenemos un proyecto de fact-checking, de verificación del discurso, que es el único proyecto de fact-checking en Guatemala y el único proyecto en Centroamérica que es signatario del International Fact-Checking Network, en el tema de fact-checking, que también lo consideramos una forma muy importante de formar a la ciudadanía. Y luego que tenemos, digamos, es un medio de comunicación que además busca, no solo, estamos en el internet, esa es nuestra nave nodriza, pero buscamos tener estas conversaciones y otras plataformas para hablar con nuestras audiencias. Entonces hacemos constantemente conferencias, cursos, exposiciones de arte, como pueden ver ahí. Tenemos un festival que se llama Expansiva, en el que es un encuentro para personas de comunicación y periodismos de todo el país. Especialmente nos centramos en que vengan a la capital. Yo estoy ahora en la capital, personas de los departamentos de medios comunitarios. Y entonces tenemos como esa lógica de varias plataformas. Doy unos datos muy rápido porque el tiempo pasa volando, pero hay una cifra que siempre se repite y que no ha cambiado mucho con los tiempos, es que el 70% de los puestos de dirección en los medios de comunicación en el mundo, el 70% es ocupado por hombres. Solo un 30% es ocupado por mujeres. Y luego, sí, solo digamos que el 30% es liderado por mujeres. Esto digamos que tiene esa importancia muy radical, que es las mujeres no están tomando decisiones sobre la agenda de lo que cuentan los medios de comunicación, lo que se cubre, las narrativas, etcétera, etcétera. Entonces, en Ocote nos parecía importante revertir esas cifras. Aquí hay otro dato del Reuters Institute en el que de un gran mapa de medios de comunicación, solo el 22% de las posiciones senior estaban ocupados por mujeres. Y luego hay un asunto interesante que también es un fenómeno que sucede a nivel mundial, en Guatemala muy claramente y en Centroamérica, y aquí les presento unos datos de Latinoamérica, que es que los medios digitales han ayudado para revertir esta desigualdad, que tiene que ver con un tema de economía por la propiedad de los medios tradicionales, que es mucho más caro, y las plataformas digitales nos permiten acceder a esa propiedad, entre comillas, de los medios. Y entonces estas cifras que sacó Sembramedia, que es una organización que apoya medios de comunicación, es que el 62% de los medios digitales había sido fundado por mujeres, y entonces ahí es donde los liderazgos y un porcentaje alto, me parece que era un 40%, era liderado por mujeres. Entonces los medios digitales de alguna manera están sirviendo para revertir esas desigualdades que los medios tradicionales históricamente han trazado. Y entonces la gran pregunta es cómo creamos un medio que trate sobre los temas de mujeres. Digamos que la reflexión es, y que era lo que Sara mencionaba, todo esto no es que nadie nos lo haya enseñado la teoría, sino que lo vamos aprendiendo sobre la lógica. Uno es cómo transformamos y cómo inyectamos las lógicas feministas, esas otras lógicas que cambien paradigmas dentro de los medios de comunicación, y por otro, eso al interior de una redacción, pero luego también cómo hacemos esos cambios en las coberturas que hacemos, en esas transformaciones de narrativas, en esas historias. Entonces, vamos reflexionando colectivamente al interior de Ocote y al interior de otras conversaciones con directoras de medios que también se enfrentan con esos cambios. Entonces, digamos que la lógica es que sí necesitamos más mujeres de liderazgo en los medios de comunicación que tengan estas convicciones, porque puede haber mujeres, que pasa también en la política, que puede haber mujeres dirigiendo, pero que no necesariamente van a tener una visión de cambios, pero ante todo es cómo vamos a cubrir los temas. Entonces, algunas inspiraciones sobre los feminismos. A mí me gusta usar feminismos en plural porque creo que hay una diversidad. En el caso de Guatemala, hay organizaciones de mujeres muy potentes, con mujeres que están combatiendo y trabajando en contra de la desigualdad y en pro de la justicia económica, pero que no se consideran feministas, por ejemplo, o que consideran el feminismo comunitario como una de sus banderas. Entonces, por eso hablamos de feminismos en plural. Entonces, la igualdad, el empoderamiento de mujeres, la eliminación de estereotipos de género, derechos sexuales y reproductivos en Guatemala, es muy raro el medio tradicional que hable sobre derechos sexuales y reproductivos, es un tema casi vedado. Hablar sobre violencia de género, la interseccionalidad, que es un asunto que siempre estamos reflexionando sobre eso, todas esas líneas programáticas que yo les mencionaba, mujeres, ambiente, justicia, memoria, todas siempre la lógica es que se intersectan entre sí, pueblos indígenas, movimientos sociales. Entonces tratamos de tener esa mirada en todas las coberturas y justicia ambiental. Pero más que la teoría, creemos que es una cuestión de práctica, pero sí que al mismo tiempo ir sistematizando esos procesos y esas reflexiones que tenemos. Entonces, por ejemplo, algunos asuntos muy clave. Tenemos un sistema de cuotas en el medio de comunicación. Aquí les hablo directamente del medio de comunicación, en el que hay un mínimo de un 60%, de 60% de mujeres en el medio de comunicación, en puestos de liderazgo y en cualquier puesto. Sin embargo, la misma práctica y la misma realidad nos ha llevado que es un 70% más o menos de los puestos el que es ocupado por mujeres, tanto en liderazgo como en el resto de puestos. Luego, para asegurarnos de esa diversidad étnica, diversidad de poblaciones LGTBIQ+, sí procuramos, tenemos un sistema también de reclutamiento y de convocatoria para ampliar las convocatorias públicamente y garantizar o tener más grados de garantía de que las personas que soliciten estar trabajando en Ocote, pues que vengan de un espacio más amplio que si uno va llamando a las personas conocidas. Crear un ambiente seguro nos parece esencial. Los medios de comunicación tradicionalmente no han tenido como esa lógica de cuidado. Es una profesión como muy dada por lo mismo que digamos que se requiere ciertos grados de valentía para enfrentar al poder, para hacer coberturas, etcétera, etcétera. Entonces, ha tenido esas lógicas del periodista heroico, que arriesga su vida, que puede trabajar 50 horas al día, etcétera, etcétera. Y entonces nosotras también procuramos que haya ese ambiente seguro. Tenemos manuales y protocolos para garantizar que es un espacio libre de acoso y de violencia. Trabajamos bajo un código de ética periodístico que también tiene que ver con el trato a las fuentes. Tenemos un protocolo para la protección de la niñez. Luego también otras lógicas como la dignificación de la profesión y de las mujeres con una escala salarial que sea justa, cuestionar cómo el liderazgo y las administraciones hacemos nuestro trabajo. Luego ese cuidado colectivo, el entrenamiento nos parece muy importante en esa lógica de empoderamiento también, trasladar todas las capacidades al equipo, y también la autonomía, digamos, la autonomía para que las personas que trabajan en el medio puedan hacer su trabajo con autonomía, bajo unas líneas, por supuesto, y ante todo que tengamos ese propósito que va en esas rutas del feminismo. Ya voy súper tarde. Sobre la representación, nos parece muy importante sistematizar esa lógica de representación. Y entonces también tenemos una cuota de las fuentes en las que tenemos por lo menos un 50% de las fuentes que consultamos, de expertas, de políticas, de científicas, de quien consultemos sean mujeres. Y tenemos un récord de producción para verificar que estamos haciendo lo correcto. Lo mismo sucede con pueblos indígenas. También buscamos que haya participación de pueblos indígenas, no solo las mujeres para hablar de mujeres y no solo los indígenas para hablar de temas de indígenas, sino que sea para hablar de política, de economía, de todo. También procuramos que nuestra cobertura sea por la dignidad y no revictimizar. Y que también sean protagonistas, no solo víctimas, eso nos parece esencial. Un país atravesado por violencia contra las mujeres y desigualdades, también nos parece importante que se vea esas mujeres que están trabajando, que sirvan como de referentes. Y en este caso aquí hay las imágenes de un especial que hacemos cada año que se llama Las Recias, y que vamos exponiendo las historias de mujeres de toda Centroamérica que se destacan en el campo de las artes, del deporte, de la política, etcétera. Y luego tenemos un directorio de mujeres especialistas para que otros medios de comunicación puedan acceder a las fuentes. Y luego entonces aquí la mirada interseccional para la cobertura, en la que procuramos que tener esa mirada y analizar todas las historias desde esas diferentes opresiones, desde esos diferentes privilegios para poder hacer coberturas con otra mirada. Ya voy muy rápido, pero digamos que una de las lógicas con las audiencias es que no creemos, que respetamos muchísimo otros tonos del feminismo, pero no sé si me están hablando, no, otros tonos del feminismo, pero que no, o de medios feministas, pero nuestra lógica es generar puentes con las audiencias, especialmente hablamos con los hombres, y no crear barreras. Entonces, procuramos esos encuentros, esas conversaciones, no polarizar. Y entonces también el tema de la sostenibilidad nos parece muy importante, y ahí pongo del título de Virginia Woolf, Una habitación propia, en la que nos parece muy importante tener esas garantías de sostenibilidad, y en ese sentido está que tenemos el apoyo de muchos fondos feministas y que apoyan este tipo de proyectos, como CS Fund, por ejemplo, pero que son como fondos de largo plazo que nos garantizan esa estabilidad para el equipo, pero que también hacemos estos ejercicios de talleres de participación con las mismas audiencias. Entonces, no me retraso más, pero digamos que la reflexión sigue en pie, seguimos trabajando, y estoy segura que dentro de 3 años podremos tener otras reflexiones más grandes sobre eso. Y entonces, eso es, así que muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so much, Alejandra. Muchas gracias. Really appreciate how you were able to connect so much of how narrative journalism and news agencies can really support women's rights, gender justice, live those values, both internally in the way that your organization is structured and thinking about who is in leadership, and also being clear on what you said, systemic transformation being such an important goal. You also talked at the beginning about things that seem like we shouldn't even have to celebrate it, but in this day and age, having in-depth investigations and checking facts to share real truths, as part of what a feminist praxis can do in journalism. I really appreciate that. And thank you also for bringing up, I think, important for us to hear as funders, the importance of long-term funding, and how that is a key ingredient for the kind of power building that communities need. So such deep gratitude. We'll look forward to more dialogue in the Q&A. And yeah, really holding that idea of Okote as a light. I see that as part of what you're bringing to us. And now it's a pleasure to introduce Yildiz. Yildiz, we've had a chance to work together very closely as World March of Women is also a shared partner with Grassroots International, as are several of the other groups here. And we've worked together with Cindy and Grassroots Global Justice Alliance in a collaborative project around strengthening grassroots feminist movements, including the Berta Cáceres International Feminist Organizing School, which we've both been a part of. And so just know firsthand what brilliance you also have to share. Really appreciate your being here all the way from Turkey. And want to ask you to speak to the role that you see for global social movements like the World March of Women in promoting and advancing gender justice and building power, and how as a global movement you stay accountable to grassroots communities. And what do you see next? Where do we need to go to organize for grassroots feminisms?
Thank you, Sarah. It is a privilege to be with you here. And as an international feminist movement, we launched our journey 26 years ago in 1998. And today we have national coordinations more than 60 countries. So it was very important in 90s to confront with neoliberalism at global level. And the March is one of the first global movements that gave a response to neoliberal policies. In fact, when we consider today that the failure of neoliberal capitalism and the rise of extreme right in many countries all over the world, and we can see it in the beginning of this process. And neoliberalism has just started with military regimes in many countries, and Turkey was one of them. And I grew up in a military coup period, and so I joined the feminist movement in 90s. So I know the best what does it mean, the neoliberal capitalism for us. All these policies introduced by the force of military in many countries. So that's today it is not surprising that in the global north, the right wing is on rise over a misogynist and racist discourse in everywhere from Poland, Hungary to Italy, Greece and Germany, in Europe, in this part of the world, in Europe. It is a serious concern for us, for feminist movement, the rise of the radical right wing, maybe we can call it neo-fascism. So it is a global movement, in fact. All those conservatives in different countries, they learned the power of internationalism. They have their coordinated agenda at global level, and they learn from each other. They translate from each other. The conservatives in Turkey, they translate their arguments from Poland, from Hungary, and from Germany. So they have a coordinated agenda at global level. So today we can see that the internationalism and the global struggle is getting more and more important to transform the world. Of course, we have been facing all this multiple crises at local levels and national levels, but we can see that the solution has been debated at global level. All those problems can be solved at global level, from pandemic to climate change and militarization, and the Cold War today is the common concern for everybody, but more for the feminist movement. So the march today identifies itself as an anti-capitalist movement, but also international grassroots feminist movement. We connect grassroots groups struggling against poverty and violence against women. It's not just poverty and the violence. We struggle against the root causes of poverty and violence. So that's the World March of Women from the very beginning, connects feminist struggle and feminist agenda to the struggle against poverty. That means class struggles. So we don't have to give up our social, political, and class struggles to be part of feminist struggle. So we can have an articulated international struggle, and that articulates all struggles against all systems of oppressions, mainly against racism, colonialism, heteropatriarchy, and capitalism. So it is to do this, to achieve our mission, we need alliance. So we build alliances with other movements, other global movements. We have strategic allies, Slavia Campesina and Friends of the Earth International at international level. So besides that, we also have allies in different regions and also in different countries. Our coordination bodies have different alliances in each country as well, according to our agenda. And also what makes the characteristic of the march is that we work for political, economic, social, and cultural transformation. So, and Sarah asked, what is the next? And what do we need to go to the next to organize for women's rights and power building? So we can shift to next slide. And so I'm not a person sticking on slides as speaking, but just to discipline my speech, and I need the guidance of slides. And what is next is we need to build ourselves as a political movement. So this is what grassroots feminism and proposes our movement to establish ourselves and to strengthen our structure from local, national to regional, from regional to international level. We need to build ourselves in a stronger way in order to confront with all these systems of oppression, in order to transform the world in a world we want to live in. So today, and we defend grassroots feminism as it is anti-capitalist, anti-colonialist, anti-racist, anti-patriarchal. It's a struggle to transform oppressive relationships between men and women, but also between that oppressive relationships between countries, between North and South, and between all peoples. And it is a political aspiration for transformation. And that connects us with a wider political struggles. And also decolonization of feminism is important in our agenda. So that's why, as Sarah mentioned, Berta Cáceres International Feminist Organizing School has been very helpful in this process at international level, because we learned a lot from the indigenous wisdom during this school. So as a methodology, we implement this methodology in different parts of a region today, in Africa, in Europe, and in Asia. So it is also important a struggle to decolonize our struggles. And in a new internationalism, because mostly internationalism is just confined to have a solidarity and to support the global South, but we need a different internationalism and from local articulating local struggles around our global movement and building alliances, and also construction of common spaces is also what we do today. And so we can move to next one. And yeah, how do we construct our international grassroots feminist movement? We are action-based movement. World March of Women organizes global actions every 5 years. So it started in the year 2000, and next year in 2025, we are going to organize 6 global actions. And always it starts on March 8 until October 17. Because March 8 is important date for feminism, is historical day, and the October 17 is day to eliminate poverty. So the idea behind this action is to connect our feminist struggle with a struggle against poverty. And so next international action will start on March 8 in Western Sahara, to underline the people's sovereignty, people's struggles for sovereignty. And it will end on October 17 in Nepal, is one of the poorest countries in the world. And so there will be other moments also in construction process, is that the feminist training is very important. We are not just militants, we are also thinkers. We equip ourselves to be thinkers of our movement. So we cannot separate thinkers and militants. So we are at the same time both thinkers and militants of our movement. And the International Feminist Organizing School established by the movements as well. And we learn from each other's practices and also historical experiences. And the other dimension of building a movement is alliances and common spaces. We decided with Allied Movement, with La Via Campesina and Friends of the Earth, to struggle for food sovereignty. Food sovereignty is a tactical step in our long-term struggle for transformation. That's why we have been organizing Nyeleni Global Forum on Food Sovereignty next year in India. It will happen in India. So we are not just organizing our own feminist agenda, but also we work and we together with other allied movement, and we learn from them, and we also learn from each other. We influence with our feminist perspective, their agenda, and also we receive important inputs from their struggle experiences. And so in the next slide, and we describe our action areas, because in order to mobilize women all over the world around one action, so we need different action areas. We need 4 pillars. We cannot mobilize everybody around just one theme, because in each region we have different priorities. So we have 4 main themes that we learned from our previous international actions. First one is defending commons against transnational corporations. So our sister from Bangladesh spoke here, and the April 24 is the day Rana Plaza collapsed in Bangladesh. We organized feminist solidarity action on April 24 every year. And next year we will connect April 24 with May Day. There will be a 1 week of an action program at international level. But also we have many grassroots groups and grassroots women leading struggles against mega projects, against transnational corporations, and at rural level, at local levels. So our coordinations, they connect them each other and their struggle, and also they also influence our international agenda. So it is very important defending commons against transnational corporations. The second pillar is very important, as Cindy described very well, is the feminist economy. We propose feminist economy as an alternative to the existing capitalist economic system. So it is our feminist economy based in sustainability of life and food sovereignty. So this is very important alternative because as we all know, economy is at the center of unequal power relations. If we want to change this unequal power relations, we have to struggle in this economic field. So the feminist economy is the subversion of capitalist economy. So this is the core of our struggle. And then the third one is autonomy, our bodies and territories. So we connect our struggle for our autonomy over our bodies and territories. And the fourth one is peace and demilitarization, which is very important today, especially in Asia, Oceania region, and that is a battlefield between big powers in this region. So these are the four important action areas, and we organize ourselves around these topics, and also we discuss it. So that's why it is important to build our global agenda. So with this global agenda, we can politicize the struggles, women's struggle in different countries. So this is what many sisters indicated it. And regarding how are we accountable to the communities that we are supporting, rather than supporting, we try to articulate those communities to our struggle, to our global struggle, especially for the one feminist economy is welcomed everywhere, all over the world, even in the most difficult areas of organizing, as like Central Asia, Eastern Europe, and so they all welcome the idea of proposing feminist economy as an alternative. So we try to articulate the communities we work with to our organizations. So we have an organized structure. Since the beginning, we have a national coordinations at national level, and that are the base of our movement. If we are strong at national level, so we are stronger at international level. So we have national coordinations and regional structures. We have been organized in 5 regions: Americas, Africa, Middle East, North Africa, Europe, and Asia, Oceania. So we have committee members elected by each region. So international committee meets regularly online and face-to-face. So our decision-making body is international meetings. International meetings are our Congress. So we are accountable to the delegates coming from each national coordination representing national struggles. So this is how we work. It is important to maintain democratic functioning of the movement in order to keep our movement alive and in order to continue our feminist action. So I just want to finish our slogan we use in the last global action. We resist to live, we march to transform.
Thank you so much, Yildiz. I feel like I just went to school. And I think we're going to pass to Cindy to lead us for this wrap up with a couple of closing questions and answers.
Wow, thank you so much. Want to thank Yildiz.
Cindy, you're muted.
I am muted. Can you hear me now? Yep. All right. So, wow, I just really want to thank all of our speakers, Yildiz, Alejandra, and Lipi, and just an incredible just like an incredible amount of work that folks are doing on the ground, right? They're doing work and at multiple levels, right? From the local level, the territorial level, to the international level. I'm still muted. Can folks hear me?
Cindy, it's not that you're muted, it's that folks who are in the English need to move from the English language channel to the original channel or click unmute original audio.
Okay, so folks, you heard the instructions. Go to the to click to your language of choice. Yes. Okay, starting all over again. So folks, we have a couple of minutes. And I know that there's some questions. And so we're going to ask, there's some specific questions, Yildiz, to you that we're going to ask, and maybe we can put them up again, that we're going to ask you to actually write the response to. But I do want to actually, just because of a lack of time, we have a couple more minutes. I do want us to actually end on a very positive note, right? You know, and as a Black feminist abolitionist, Mariame Kaba talks about in her work and in her praxis, is that hope is a discipline. And I believe like one of the key struggles that I see happening not only here on Turtle Island in the United States, but also around the world is the need to fight pessimism, cynicism, nihilism, and understand that the system is trying to kill our fighting spirit, right? Where we see the genocide that is happening in Palestine, that is happening in the Congo, that is happening in our communities all around. But when we think about a global just transition, right? When we think about a need for a feminist, anti-racist, regenerative economy and all that implies, it means that we have to be visionaries, right? It means that we have to be optimist. And I want us to end with, and we can start with Lipi and then Alejandra and then end with Yildiz. It's like, what is one inspiration that you want to share with folks? And again, the questions that were asked in the chat, if Yildiz, they were specific to you, if you can respond to them in the chat, or if you have a little bit of time, but we have about 4 minutes. So about 1 minute each. What is one thing that you want to share? So starting with Lipi.
Oh, Lipi, you're muted.
Lipi, yeah,
Sorry, thank you, Cindy. That the one that I actually missed the question because I am having the problem with my internet.
You want me to ask it? You want me to ask it? So basically, what is the one inspiration? Because hope is a discipline, right? As Mariame Kaba, Black feminist abolitionist from the US says, And how is it that we at this moment need to, as we think about this vision of a feminist economy, what is that hope, that visionary spirit that we have to, and what's one thing that you want to share based on your work or based on your assessment and analysis?
Yeah, that I hope that yeah, one thing that I can share, that the strength of women, you know, more, that the solidarity that we are working on, that women have, that this you know, positive strength. They actually working together, and despite their, you know, challenges in this grassroots level, that women are, you know, coming forward to support each other. That is the inspiration that I get from these groups, that I can say. And they are working for their, you know, the development for other women, and, you know, to support each other. That is the inspiration, yeah, for me. And I hope that, yeah, someday that we will reach the movement we are actually having with all the sisters, that we are going to win. Thank you.
Alejandra, thank you, Lipi. Alejandra.
Sí, ¿escuchan bien ahí? Sí. En el caso del periodismo y de los medios es muy complicado encontrar como esa, digamos, como el impacto o el resultado inmediato de nuestro trabajo. Sabemos que hacemos nuestro trabajo para que las cosas cambien, pero es muy difícil ver resultados inmediatos en estos grandes sistemas y en estas narrativas, pero entonces inspiraciones son como muy concretas, muchas veces por las historias que contamos, las fuentes de las historias que nos cuentan. Entonces pienso en unas muy concretas. Cuando hacemos la cobertura de los procesos de justicia transicional, en el caso de un juicio por genocidio aquí en Guatemala hace 12 años, y hubo una condena, y entonces las personas se nos acercaban y decían, por fin se sabe que dijimos la verdad. Y entonces por fin, digamos que de esa cobertura que hacíamos, decían, por fin se sabe que dijimos la verdad. Y otros temas de crímenes y asuntos así que encuentran, yo no digo que damos la voz, porque no damos la voz, pero que narramos esas historias y ponemos como en otras plataformas las historias de desigualdad, y entonces el ver con esas fuentes que sienten que alguien las está escuchando, entonces esa es como una gran inspiración. Y luego con las audiencias pensar, imaginar, es más bien como tener la ilusión de pensar que las personas están teniendo información para que tomen decisiones más críticas, para que activen y para que hagan cambios, para que sean más sensibles ante la realidad. Entonces, es así.
Yildiz.
I just want to share one anecdote Maria Mies told in her book on subsistence perspective. And a group of German feminists, they push that the subsistence is an alternative to neoliberalism. So, and in that book, there is an anecdote. It's very impressive and unforgettable. It is about Hillary Clinton, who visited a village in Bangladesh in 1995 when she was in Asia for Beijing conference. She wanted to see the success of microcredits in Bangladesh in a village. And she was surrounded in the village with a group of women from Bangladesh. And she asked several questions to those women. First one, do you have an income? And they said, yes, it's little, but they all have income. And the second question, she asked, do you have animals? They said, yes, we have chickens, some have cows, so they have animals. And she asked, how many children do you have? Some 4 or 5, it's not too many. And she seemed satisfied. from the program implemented in the region. And after a long silence, then the present woman asked the same questions to Hillary Clinton. Do you have an independent income? At that time, she was First Lady, and she had no independent income. And she said no. And they asked, how many animals you have? She said she has no animals. And they asked, how many children? And she said she has only one daughter. She wanted, but somehow she couldn't have more. And the woman, they said, poor Hillary, she has no income, no animals, and only one daughter. And the Maria Mies says that this is the feminist perspective. This is the grassroots feminist perspective, how we interpret the world. In fact, this is the perspective we based on our feminist economy. That means the subversion of the capitalist economy. That means something that is valuable in capitalist economy is not important for our feminist perspective. So I just wanted to share that anecdote here. And there are some questions, I think.
I think Yildiz, just because we're over time, we're gonna respond to the questions afterwards. So in the follow-up, we can ask the questions to each of the speakers, and then they can, we'll send those responses out with the recording and presentations and materials. I just want to quickly wrap up. Thank you all so much for an incredibly rich session. To our speakers, Lipi, Alejandra, and Yildiz, incredible just examples of work that you all are employing in the world. To our brilliant co-hosts, Sarah and Cindy, thank you for leading us in this very broad, very complex area that all of us need to be schooled much more in. Thank you to our language justice team, to Isaac on the tech support, and from Gopal and myself. Very grateful for your participation. Our next session is going to be on September 10th on digital justice and the role that interdependence around our different issues gets intersected with digital in ways that exploit, but also ways that could potentially build power. So thank you all so much. And we'll be following up with the recording and material soon.